Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today we're going to be talking about a Christian-themed deductive style game for 2 to 4 players by FunHill Games and designer Lance Hill, Disciple Detective. Now, this game is a deductive style game that's got some Hanabi-ish Christmas light style elements to it. If you've never played Christmas Lights, again, it's another similar deductive style game, but with a Christmas theme. This one happens to be the different disciples from the Bible theme. Now, I'm a Christian. I naturally am looking for a decent Christian style game of any slice, you know, whether it's worker placement and what have you, because there's been so many bad ones over the years. It's nice to see some good ones come out of the works. Well, this one's going up on Kickstarter here soon. I'll just give you a general brief overview of how the game plays. Keep in mind, everything's pre-production. Anything and everything could be subject to change. And so let me go ahead and show you this, and then we'll get back to my final thoughts. So, first thing, I'm going to show you all the disciples, okay? So, you got Bartholomew. I'll just throw them down. Andrew, Simon, Thomas, and obviously he is the doubter, okay? That's 3 so far, 4. And you got John. You got Peter, the fisherman. You got James the Less. You got Philip, Matthew, Jude, Judas. Hey, look at him, Mr. Betrayer. And we got James and Matthias. Now, we also have Paul included if you want to make the game a little more difficult. And you can get into that if you want. It's kind of a variant in a way. So, but that's in there as well. Okay. Now, normally when you set up the game, you are not going to know what cards you have. Okay. But we're going to, just for the sake of argument, use these for our hand. All right. To start off, you're going to get a suspect rap sheet. I'm just kidding. A suspect card to kind of give you an idea of who's left. And you also have this, I guess, a dry erase marker here that you can actually write. Like I was crossing names off as I went, going, okay, it's not this, not this, not this. And you can kind of tell with clues that you get. You're just trying to deductively figure out who it is you have in your hand. Like I said, very Hanabi-ish style. And so you can actually erase those off, which is nice. By the way, do not do this. I accidentally did this. I wasn't thinking, and I accidentally crossed that out. Thankfully, I was able to scratch out most of it. But on your disciple reference sheet, it is not made to be written on. You can also write on the back of the actual cards themselves if you want to try to like whittle clues down and things of that nature, but do not write on this one, please. Now, on the disciple reference sheet, they give you these so you can keep track of who might be in the game, what quirks they have over here, which usually just kind of break the rules a little bit, and they're thematically tied to every character that they work with. Also, all the different kinds of character traits or attributes each disciple has. For example, Matthew, Peter has all of them. John has most. Some of them have 1, maybe 2 or 3. So these are going to help you discover who is in your hand possibly, and things of that nature. So it's something you want to keep track of, okay? This will help you tremendously, and everybody gets one of these. There's also a competitive version of this game, which all it is you're trying to figure out who you have in your hand before everyone else. But we're going to pretend we're playing the 2-player game. The cards that you get are going to be different according to how many players are in the game. In a 2-player game, you get 4. Now, also, just to keep in mind, you have a 30-second timer, which basically helps get somebody to begin doing an action. If they don't do it by the end of this 30 seconds, at least begin the action, they lose a clue token. It goes back in the box. If you lose all your clue tokens, the game's over. Everybody loses, okay? Now, just like in Hanabi, your cards are not going to be facing you yet. You get an idea of the different kinds of attributes here. And also, don't forget, you can reference your disciple sheet there. On your turn, you can do 1 of 3 actions. You can give a clue about a trait. And what you'll do is you'll take a clue token once you're finished with this action, throw it in the box, okay? But what you'll do is you'll say, okay, you're going to look at everybody else's. Let's pretend this is a different person's hand. And let's say, for example, you want to give odd number or even number. And what you'll do is you'll look at that person's hand and say, okay, say the number's even. Well, you touch every single card, okay? But let's just pretend for a second we had somebody different. If it was even, you just touch the 3 cards because we have an odd number out. Now, if it was just the odd, you'd touch this card, okay? Or you could say, hey, alias, does a disciple go by a second name? Origin, do we know from which city they originate? I mean, you just say, yeah, if they're on that sheet and they show that they that we know where they come from, you would touch them. Do we know their father's name? Okay. What is their occupation? Writer, basically all these things are things that we know from biblical text. Okay. And so that's what you would touch according to whoever it is, right? And also some of them will have quirks. For example, Bartholomew, he's not false, cancels out all other quirks in the player's hand. So for example, he would cancel out Doubting Thomas's quirk. Doubter, always touch Thomas's card for clues even if he does not have that trait. That would not activate anymore because of Bartholomew's quirk. Now the second action you could do is order a player's hand. And you would do this chronologically going from the lowest number up to the highest. So you would touch them according to where they sit in that order. All right. Now, the third action you can do is guess a disciple. So say you figured out that this is Matthias, right? You were looking at it this way, you flip it over and you were correct. Well, now you gain a clue token back from the box. Hey, look at there. Or you could even give a free clue to one of your teammates if you're playing cooperative. Now, if you guess incorrectly, you wouldn't have gained that token. Heck, you would have lost one. And that in general is going to be how you play Disciple Detective. Again, there's a little bit more to it, but not really that much. Very simple game. Now let's go ahead and get back to my final thoughts. Now, I'll be the first one to say I am not a fan of Hanabi. I don't know what it is about that game in particular. It just didn't grab me like it seemed to grab everybody else I knew. Now, it's funny. It's not that I don't like deduction. I really do enjoy deduction. I love games where you're trying to deduce who the bad guy is or what the correct answer is in a game and things of that nature. Hanabi just didn't capture me. Now, what's really funny is 25th Century Games, Christmas lights, I think maybe it was the theme. The theme helped bring me deeper into that style of game. Christmas lights was fun for me. I enjoyed it. It's not a game I'm pulling out all the time, but it is a game I enjoy. Disciple Detective I liked as well. And again, probably a tiny bit of that bias is because I am a believer and I'm also looking to find decent Christian games that aren't old, busted, style of games from way back when, just like, Bible trivia games and things of that nature. But yes, I did like Disciple Detective. In general, it's a decent game. Some of the pros in the game, I like the artwork. The artwork was actually pretty cool. It's not something that I'm like, I want on every game, but that style is there and it actually worked for this one, so it was fine. I also like the quirks, and they're not on every single card, but I like the idea that they kind of add a little bit more thematic flavor to the disciples. For example, Judas, he's a liar, so in that case, you're not always going to be sharing correct and accurate information whenever you're giving a clue out. I also like the fact that Peter goes into hiding, and things of that nature. So there are some thematic elements there that will tie you in a little bit more into the theme. And I also like the fact that you're trying to find, who has which disciple. I mean, it's a very simple game. It's not like something that you're going to sit here and strategize over or anything like that. But it's a fun little deduction game, and it's a very simple game that you can play very quickly. That's another nice thing. Now, we'll say there might be a little bit, for some people that play this game, there might be a little bit too much information to keep up with depending on how many players there are. At 2 players, you're holding up 4 cards, and it could be a little overwhelming, depending on who you are. Like my wife even, we played it at 2 players at one point, and she got a little overwhelmed because we had 4 cards in hand, and her mind doesn't quite work that way. You know what I mean? You give her a couple of different things to think about at one time, that's fine, but when you start getting a lot, it can overload her, and I can see her point on that. She did say about that, but like I said, if you like what you're seeing and you don't mind the extra information in your hands having multiple cards, that's no big deal. Again, if you like what you saw in the overview and if you like what the theme is and everything else, definitely go check it out on Kickstarter. It's coming out very soon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey again. You have a blessed day and game away. This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com.